Eighth graders, this is to help you with question 1 on CR 22. It says, given two complementary angles, the measure of one angle is 20 less than half the measure of the other angle. All right? The measure of these two angles are, okay, given two complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. That's what it means to be complementary. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So I know I need to let X be the first angle. And then it says one of the angles is 20 less than half the measure of the other. So I'm going to have my other angle be X. So if I have 20 less than half of X, I'm calling the other angle X. So it's 20 less than half of X. All right. Half of X is 1/2 times X. That's how I'll find half of one of the angles I'm given. Minus 20. Be careful with less than means subtraction. You'll write the 22nd and you'll write the 1/2 of X first. So 20 less than half X is 1/2 X minus 20. So then we'll let X, 1/2 X minus 20. So we'll let 1/2 X minus 20 equal the second angle. We have two angles. And I know if I take my first angle plus my second angle, first angle plus my second angle, those two have to add up to 90 degrees. They're complementary. What did I call my first angle? I called my first angle X plus, what did I call my second angle? My second angle is 20 less than half the measure of the other. So it's 20 less than half X. So 1/2 X minus 20. That's my second angle. When I add those together, I have to come up with 90 degrees. So now I'm just going to go ahead and solve this equation for X. That'll give me one of the angles, and then I'll substitute in to find the other angle. So this coefficient of X is a 1. 1X plus 1/2 X is 1 and 1/2 X. Minus 20 equals 90. So all I've done is combine like terms. I put my X's together. So now if I'm going to solve this equation, how do I undo subtraction to move the 20 to the right-hand side of the equal sign? Undo subtraction with addition. So I need to add 20 to the left-hand side of the equal sign. If I'm going to add 20 to the left-hand side, I must also add 20 to the right-hand side. Bye-bye, those zero out. So now I have 1 and 1/2 X equals 90 plus 20 is 110. Now to get X all by itself, the operation between the 1 and 1/2 and the X is multiplication. How do I undo multiplication? I undo multiplication with division. So I'll divide by the coefficient of X, which is 1 and 1/2. So on the right-hand side of the equal sign, I must also divide by 1 and 1/2. Over here, the coefficient becomes a fancy form of 1. 1 times X is just X. And then on this side, here's my scrap. I have to take 110 divided by 1 and 1/2. So that's 110 divided by, I have to write this as an improper. 1 and 1/2 is actually the same as 3/2. 2 times 1 is 2, and 1 more is 3. 1 and 1/2 is 3/2. So 110 is the same as 110 over 1, and then I'm going to keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep the 110 over 1. I'm going to change the division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip over this second fraction, make it a 2 over 3. This actually will not come out to be a nice number, I don't believe. All right, oh well. 2 times 110 is 220 over 1 times 3 is 3. So it's 220 thirds. 3 goes into 220. 3 goes into 227 times there. 2 goes into 10 3 times. I think it's 73 1/3. This is crazy. 220. 3 goes into 22 7 times. 3 times 7 is 21. Subtract off. Remainder 1. Drag down a 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Yep. 73 1/3. Excellent. So one of the angles is 73 1/3. 73 1/3 degrees. And now we have to do 90. I can just quick do 90 minus 73 1/3. So 90 minus 73. I don't have a calculator in front of me. Hopefully you've just picked up your calculator at this point and worked this out. 10 minus 3 is 17. So it's 16 2/3. And the other angle must be 16 2/3 degrees. That's what it looks like to me. So I believe this would become... This is totally unrelated. This would become 16 2/3 degrees. I guarantee you on your CR, it's got to come out to be nice numbers. Mine didn't. Oh well. Hope that helps.